I mean, they really do make it really hard to trust the government when they do things to make it more likely to not trust the government. Now, granted, this is going, in my opinion, far beyond just government. It ties into the companies and the CEOs and the corporate greed and everything else that's behind this. But folks, Norfolk Southern has over 100 train cars. I'm hearing at first it was 100 train cars. Now it's 150 train cars. Now, ironically, this whole situation in East Palestine, Ohio, or East Palestine, Ohio, is playing out like a movie. Ironically, White Noise, I don't know the full story on White Noise, but it's literally the same scenario with people from the town having been extras in the creation of the movie uh, with Adam Driver. So, here, let's think about this. If we're planning and preparing for future occurrences and the likelihood of the next major catastrophe, I guess we should just look on Netflix and see what movie's coming out because I said yesterday in the video where I brought you guys information on this is this train that was literally a bomb rolling through town. Potentially had the likelihood of just killing so many people. Yet it still does, because I'm going to talk to you about that in just a moment. How could Norfolk Southern let something like this happen? And now, after it happens, we find ourselves in a situation where we're dealing with the local and state government, as well as the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, and also Norfolk Southern. So, you mean to tell me that Norfolk Southern didn't have a ledger, a manifest, while transporting hazardous materials, hazmat, folks, where we're at a point where there was a train car on fire, polyvinyl chloride, a few other extremely toxic chemicals. It's on fire, traveling down the tracks. And I mean, we're talking about the same chemicals that were used in the First World War. I mean, this is bad stuff, folks. Hazmat should be transported with extreme care and extreme caution, but also mountains of documentation and paperwork. So we have this rolling bomb of a train, this Norfolk Southern train rolling down the tracks in East Palestine, Ohio. Then there's a derailment, and then they choose to initiate an evacuation sequence of a 1 mile radius only, and then proceed to set fire to the remaining cars of these hazardous materials without even knowing what they were setting fire to. Only to then tell people, the residents, to return home a few days later. Everything's fine. Everything is okay. The air quality's fine. The water quality's fine. And then just here recently received breaking information and new updates from the EPA as they are continuously uncovering more chemicals that they have found or are finding. How can you tell people to return, everything's fine, everything's okay? How could you have even agreed to authorize and approve setting fire to these chemicals when you didn't know what they were? Let alone now you have stories of real live boots on the ground, insider intel, the people who live there telling you the air smells funny. The air smells weird. It smells like an overchlorinated pool. It smells like burning tires. Farmers telling you that their chickens and their livestock and their fox, they're not feeling well. They're ill and or dying. People in general, their pets are leaving to go use the bathroom, never to return again because they've died in the yard. From what? Is it from the air? Is it from the burning toxic chemicals? Is it from the water? Is it now in the soil from all the sediment and the burn off and the ash that's now permeated into the soil? And this is just a few days after. What's going to be the long-term effects behind the government telling everybody it's okay, go back home, you'll be fine? Should we test anything? No need to test anything. Perfectly fine, normal, standard operating procedure. Train, cars full of dangerous, hazardous, toxic materials falls off the track. We just set it on fire. Give it about 2-3 days. Come on back. 24, 48, 72 hours. Come on back. You'll be fine, okay? Now, I have many, many issues with this, several issues with this. But these people are now trapped. They're trapped in their homes. And I'm going to explain to you why. It comes down to money, folks. So we have to realize that there was a huge push in order to initiate this sequence of events to maintain the cash flow and the continuation of cash flow, and also the elimination and the destruction of evidence. Look, all I can say is that if you guys have been watching my channel and you watch the coverage of the railroad union worker strike and the outcome, these folks, these freight railway companies, they got some folks working on the inside. That's all I can say. When the negotiations for contract negotiations take years and they still end up getting what they want, screwing over the workers, screwing over the union workers, and doing it in a way by getting Congress to authorize it and the president to sign it into law so that they get what they want, folks. Think about it. So they want to continuously kick this can down the road, keep that cash flow rolling, destroy the evidence. It never happened. And then even if it, they got folks on their side, in their pocket. You see what I'm saying? But the people, unfortunately, the victims of all this, the true victims are the people. Because you got to think, we are going to see an increase in costs of materials as a result of this cost of loss by way of Norfolk Southern's cost and transportation costs and increase, and the raw material supplier and their loss of product and revenue and profit, that will be readjusted and introduced back into the economy by way of inflation and higher prices. But even more so is the people. Unfortunately, the people are the most screwed in this whole situation, beyond the health standpoint and consequences and added risk that they are going to assume by living in these areas and consuming food from these areas and drinking water in these areas. Already reports of fish dying in the rivers, multiple rivers, multiple accounts of fish kill. So they're stuck, though. Unfortunately, they're stuck. A lot of them have grown up here. This is all they've ever known. And they don't have the financial resources to relocate or temporarily relocate or permanently relocate. And nor would they be able to find employment wherever they went. But they're ultimately stuck in this situation and trapped in this place. Why? Because of the housing market. The homes will never sell. They'll never sell. Not anytime soon, at least. Not in time where it would matter for these people to be able to get out. And let alone would you want to sell a home to someone else and their family to have them move into an area that you already know is contaminated in a potentially deadly situation. Yeah. Think about that, folks. And all backed by the government, the local government, going up the chain of command and having their way, doing what they want, letting the people suffer the consequences of their actions, them sleeping easy at night, and we're left to fend for ourselves. Unbelievable.